6 months have passed since the dinner party where my husband exposed everything. 6 months since my 3 best friends stopped returning my calls. 6 months since I learned some mistakes don't care about apologies or promises to change. I still replay that Saturday morning in my head, wondering how I could have been so stupid. How I let myself get talked into testing my marriage like it was some kind of game show. How I didn't realize that my husband Kevin had heard every word of that phone call where my friends convinced me to fake wanting a separation. It started so innocently. Just another Thursday evening wine night with the girls, while Kevin was supposedly working late. Sarah, Michelle, and Brittany had been my closest friends since college. We'd been through everything together: bad breakups, career changes, family drama. So when they started giving me relationship advice, I listened. The wine was a good Pinot Noir, $45 a bottle, because Sarah always insisted we deserved the best. We were successful women, after all. Sarah with her marketing director's salary, Michelle with her consulting firm, Brittany fresh off making partner. And me? Well, I managed a dental office. Not as glamorous, but Kevin's income as an electrician more than made up the difference. "You've been married 7 years, Sarah said, refilling my wine glass in my own living room. She was on her 3rd glass, her voice getting that edge it always got when she talked about marriage. Her own husband, Tim, was at home with their twins, probably grateful for the break. "How do you know Kevin still values you?" Men get comfortable. They stop trying. "He tries," I defended weakly. "He just bought me that necklace for our anniversary." I touched the delicate gold chain around my neck, the small sapphire pendant catching the light. Kevin had skipped lunch for 3 months to afford it. I knew because I'd found the receipt in his truck, along with a note from the jeweler thanking him for his patience with the payment plan. "The one you asked for specifically?" Michelle laughed. "That's not romantic. That's following instructions." Michelle's laugh had turned bitter since her separation from Daniel 2 years ago. She'd caught him texting a co-worker. Nothing sexual, just friendly conversation, and had never forgiven him. Now she saw betrayal everywhere, in every comfortable marriage, in every husband who didn't worship at his wife's feet. "At least he remembers your anniversary," Brittany added, examining her empty ring finger. "Roger forgot ours 3 years running before I finally left him." What Brittany didn't mention was Roger's double shifts as a paramedic, saving lives while she spent his overtime pay on designer bags. But that wasn't the story she told anymore. I should have shut down the conversation right there, should have told them that Kevin didn't need to prove anything to me, that I knew he loved me. But something in their words struck a nerve. Had we become too comfortable? Too predictable? "My cousin tested her boyfriend last year," Brittany chimed in, always ready with an anecdote. "Told him she needed space to think about their future. He practically fell apart. Bought her a car, planned this huge romantic gesture, the whole thing. Now they're engaged and he treats her like a queen." "That's manipulation," I said, but even I could hear the uncertainty in my voice. "It's not manipulation," Sarah insisted. "It's making sure your man knows your worth, that he won't take you for granted." I took another sip of wine, feeling their eyes on me. These were successful women. Sarah was a marketing director. Michelle ran her own consulting firm. Brittany had just made partner at her law firm. Surely they knew about relationships. "I don't know. It feels wrong to lie to Kevin like that." "Who said anything about lying?" Michelle leaned forward. "Just tell him you need some time to think about your marriage. See how he reacts. If he really loves you, he'll fight for you. If not." She shrugged. "You deserve to know where you stand," Brittany added. "What if he just shrugs and says okay? Wouldn't you rather know now than waste another 7 years? The wine was making everything fuzzy, but their logic seemed sound. Kevin had been distant lately, working late, spending weekends in the garage with his projects. When was the last time he'd surprised me with something I hadn't asked for? When was the last time he'd shown me I was a priority? What would I even say? I heard myself asking. And that's when they pounced, like sharks smelling blood in the water. They had the whole script ready, how I should approach him, what words to use, how to stay calm and serious, how to document his reaction for analysis later. "Do it this weekend," Sarah urged. "When he's relaxed and not expecting it, that'll give you the most authentic reaction." "And don't cave if he seems upset," Michelle added. "You need to see how far he'll go to keep you." "Make sure to tell us everything," Brittany said with a laugh. "This is going to be such good drama." Drama. That's what my marriage was to them. Entertainment. And I was too wine-drunk and insecure to see it. What I didn't know was that Kevin had come home early. That he'd stood in our hallway, listening to every poisonous word. That while I was agreeing to test his love, he was planning his response. Saturday morning came too quickly. I woke up with a wine headache and a script in my head. Kevin was in the garage, working on his motorcycle like he did every weekend. Normal, predictable, comfortable. Everything my friend said was wrong with our marriage. I stood in the doorway, watching him work, trying to summon the courage to blow up our life. He looked up and smiled at me. That same warm smile that made me fall in love with him 8 years ago. "Morning, beautiful. Want some coffee?" I made a fresh pot. "We need to talk," I said, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. His smile faded slightly, but he set down his tools and gave me his full attention. "Sure, what's on your mind?" I took a deep breath and started reciting the script. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us, about our marriage, and I'm not sure I'm happy anymore." The words hung between us like a blade. I watched his face, waiting for the panic my friends had promised. Instead, he just nodded slowly. "Okay, what specifically has you feeling unhappy?" That wasn't in the script. He was supposed to immediately start asking what he'd done wrong, promising to change. I scrambled for the next line. "I just feel like we've fallen into a routine. I don't know if this is what I want for the rest of my life. I think I need some space to figure things out." "Space," he repeated calmly. "What kind of space are we talking about?" Why wasn't he panicking? Why wasn't he fighting? "Maybe we should take a break. Spend some time apart so I can think clearly about what I really want." He wiped his hands on a rag, his movements deliberate and calm. "How long of a break?" I don't know, a few weeks maybe?" "That's reasonable," he said. "When do you want to start?" My mouth fell open. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to beg. He was supposed to promise me the world. He was supposed to fight for our marriage. "You're okay with this?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "You said you need space to think. If that's what you need, then that's what you need. I'm not going to force you to stay in a marriage that doesn't make you happy." The calm in his voice terrified me more than anger would have. He stood up, walked past me toward the house. "I'll move my things to the guest room today. We should probably figure out how to split the bills during this break." "Wait," I called after him. "You're moving out of our bedroom? Right now?" "Well, you said you wanted space." I assumed that meant physical space, too. This was spiraling out of control. My friends hadn't prepared me for acceptance, for cooperation, for a husband who would simply let me go. I didn't mean right away. I thought we could discuss the details first. The details seem clear to me. You want a break from our marriage. The sooner we start, the sooner you'll have your answer. I followed him to our bedroom, watching in horror as he calmly began moving his clothes to the guest room. This was supposed to be a test, not an actual separation. "Don't you have questions? Don't you want to know why?" He paused, looked at me with those steady brown eyes. "Would the answers change anything?" "You've already decided you're unhappy. You've already decided you need space. What's left to discuss?" "I just thought you'd have, I don't know, more of a reaction." "What kind of reaction were you hoping for?" The question felt loaded, like he knew more than he was letting on. I don't know. I expected you to be upset. I am upset, he said simply. But being upset won't change your mind, will it? I had no answer for that. The script didn't cover this. My friends hadn't prepared me for a husband who would respond with dignity instead of desperation. By Saturday evening, he was gone. Out with friends, he said. Adjusting to being single again, he said. The house felt empty in a way it never had before. I texted my friends telling them about his reaction. Their responses came quickly. He's bluffing, Sarah wrote. He'll crack by tomorrow. Stay strong, Michelle advised. Don't let him make you feel guilty. This is perfect, Brittany added. Now he'll realize what he's losing. But Sunday came and went. Kevin remained calm, polite, distant. He went out again, stayed out late. When I asked where he'd been, he reminded me we were on a break, that my activities weren't his business and his weren't mine. By Monday, I was panicking. This wasn't a test anymore. This was my marriage dissolving in real time. I tried to walk it back, suggesting counseling instead. But Kevin turned my own logic against me. Counseling for what? You said you weren't happy. That's not something a therapist can fix if it's how you truly feel. Each attempt to reverse course was met with calm reasoning that made my lies seem even more hollow. He wasn't playing the game. He was taking me at my word. And my word was that I didn't want to be married to him. By Thursday, I was desperate. I tried honesty without admitting the whole truth. What if I said I made a mistake? What if I said I don't want to break anymore? He looked at me with something like pity. Then I'd wonder what happens the next time you get stressed. Do I have to worry about you questioning our marriage every time things get difficult? The trap I'd set had caught me instead. Every word I'd said in fake doubt had created real problems. Every lie had built a wall between us that truth couldn't tear down. Friday night, I heard him on the phone with someone, making plans, laughing, living his life as if I'd already left. That's when I made the ultimate mistake. I escalated. I've been thinking, I said that evening. Maybe we should consider making this permanent. Like a divorce. I expected shock, fear, anything but the slow nod of agreement. You might be right. This week has shown me a lot about what I want in a partner. The words hit me like a physical blow. He was agreeing to divorce. My husband of 7 years was ready to walk away because I'd played a stupid game. You want a divorce? I whispered. I want to be with someone who's sure they want to be with me. You've made it clear that's not you. That's when I cracked. When the performance ended, and the real fear began. But it was too late. The damage was done. Saturday morning, exactly 1 week after I'd started this nightmare, I couldn't take it anymore. Kevin was making breakfast, humming to himself like he didn't have a care in the world. Bacon sizzled in the pan, the expensive kind from the butcher shop, not our usual grocery store brand. He'd even made fresh orange juice. Smells good, I said tentatively, hovering in the kitchen doorway. Thanks. I figured if I'm living the bachelor life, might as well enjoy it. He didn't even look at me as he plated his food. 1 plate, 1 serving. The message was clear. Kevin, we need to talk about this. About what? The break? I thought we covered everything. He sat down at the table with his breakfast and the morning paper, an actual newspaper, like some content-divorced dad from a movie. Stop, I begged. Just stop this whole thing. He finally looked up, eyebrows raised. Stop what? This act, this accepting routine. You're supposed to fight for us. You're supposed to care that I'm leaving. But you're not leaving. You're making an informed decision about our marriage. I'm respecting that. I exploded, screamed, cried. The words poured out in a hysterical rush. Why won't you fight for me? Why don't you care? What kind of husband just lets his wife walk away? He set down his fork very deliberately, the calm before the storm. What kind of wife tells her husband she wants a divorce to see if he'll beg? The air left my lungs. He couldn't know. There was no way he could know. "I heard the phone call," he said simply. "I heard every word, the coaching, the script, the plan to test me like a lab rat." The world tilted. He knew. He'd known all along. "I wanted to see how far you'd take it," he continued. "Whether you'd come clean or keep doubling down on the lie. You chose to double down. For a week." "It wasn't like that," I tried desperately. "They said it would help me understand how you felt about me." "And how do I feel about you?" His voice was ice. "I don't know anymore. I feel like I've been married to someone who would rather manipulate me than talk to me, who values her friend's entertainment more than our trust, who was willing to threaten divorce just to see me dance." Every word was true. Every word was damning. I'd played a game with our marriage and lost everything. The dinner party that night was the final blow. Kevin exposed all 3 of my friends in front of everyone we knew. Their marriages started cracking that very evening as their own husbands realized what kind of women they'd married, women who would encourage destroying a marriage for fun. We arrived at Sarah's house at 7:30. I'd begged Kevin not to go, but he insisted. "We RSVP'd weeks ago," he said. "It would be rude not to show." But I knew from the set of his jaw that he had other plans. Sarah's house was immaculate as always. The 4,000-square-foot colonial that Tim's investment banking salary paid for, decorated with the minimalist aesthetic Sarah saw in a magazine. Everything white and gray and sharp edges, like their marriage. The usual crowd was there. 3 other couples besides us and my trio of toxic friends. Sarah was holding court in the kitchen, Michelle beside her opening another bottle of wine, Brittany regaling everyone with a story about destroying opposing counsel in court. "Ladies," Kevin said, walking directly up to them. I tried to grab his arm, but he shook me off. "I wanted to thank you for your excellent marriage counseling last week." Sarah's wine glass paused halfway to her lips. "What marriage counseling?" "The phone consultation where you convinced my wife to fake a breakup with me to test my devotion. Brilliant strategy, really." The kitchen went silent. Even the music seemed to fade into the background. "I'm not sure what you mean," Michelle said, but her voice cracked. "Really?" Because I heard every word. Thursday evening, right in my own living room. The part about making it dramatic, the suggestion to document it for entertainment. Even the backup plan to threaten divorce if I didn't react the right way. Tim set down his beer very deliberately. "Sarah? What's he talking about?" "Nothing," Sarah said quickly, too quickly. "He's obviously confused." Kevin pulled out his phone. "Confused? Let me refresh your memory." He hit play on a recording. My voice filled the room, slurred with wine, saying I wasn't sure about manipulating him. Then Sarah's voice, clear as day. "It's not manipulation. It's testing his commitment. You deserve to know where you stand in his priorities." The room erupted. Tim's face went from confused to furious in seconds. Michelle's date, a new boyfriend she'd been showing off, took a step back from her like she was contagious. Brittany's law partner, who'd come as her +1, looked like he was mentally reviewing their firm's ethics guidelines. "You recorded a private conversation?" Sarah sputtered. "In my own home?" "Yes, legal in this state, by the way." I checked. Kevin's smile was sharp, "But let's talk about privacy." "How private was my marriage when you 3 decided to make it your entertainment?" "That's not," Brittany started. "Let me tell everyone how your test worked out," Kevin continued, raising his voice so the whole room could hear. "My wife told me she wanted to separate, so I helped her pack. She said she needed space. I gave her all the space she wanted. She threatened divorce. I agreed it might be for the best." Nervous laughter rippled through the room. But Kevin wasn't done. "Turns out when you call someone's bluff, they panic. She spent a week escalating her lies, trying to get me to dance like a trained monkey. All because you 3 convinced her that manipulation was the key to a healthy marriage." "We were trying to help," Michelle said desperately. Help? Kevin laughed. You call destroying trust helpful? You call teaching wives to lie to their husbands helpful? How's your own love life, Michelle? Still wondering why Daniel left? Michelle's face went white. That has nothing to do with... Doesn't it? You pushed him away with constant tests and suspicions. Now you're trying to spread your misery to everyone else. The party was effectively over now. People were grabbing their coats, making excuses. Sarah's husband Tim hadn't moved from his spot by the beer cooler, just staring at his wife with dawning comprehension. Is this why you've been acting so strange? He asked her. All those questions about whether I'd fight for you? Were you planning to test me too? Sarah's silence was answer enough. My friends blamed me, of course. They said I'd thrown them under the bus, as if they hadn't been driving the bus all along. They cut me off completely, leaving me to rebuild my marriage alone. 6 months later, I'm still rebuilding. Kevin gave me a choice that night. Them or him. It wasn't really a choice at all. But choosing him meant more than just cutting off toxic friendships. It meant therapy, real therapy, where I had to confront why I thought testing my husband was acceptable. It meant complete transparency, showing him every text, every communication, proving daily that I'd learned my lesson. It meant rebuilding trust one tiny action at a time. The friends I lost? They're divorced or heading that way. Turns out their husbands didn't appreciate learning their wives were master manipulators. Sarah's husband found text messages to other married friends, encouraging them to test their relationships too. Michelle's marriage counselor suggested her husband leave for his own mental health. Brittany's husband? He hired a forensic accountant and a shark of a divorce attorney. They blame me for exposing them. I blame them for convincing me to destroy the best thing in my life. But really, the blame lies with all of us. For thinking marriage was a game, for believing manipulation was the same as communication, for risking everything to prove something that didn't need proving. Kevin forgave me, eventually. Not because I completed his checklist of requirements, but because he saw real change. Because I stopped letting others influence our marriage. Because I learned that security comes from trust, not tests. I still wake up some nights remembering that week of lies, remembering how close I came to losing everything because I listened to women who didn't value what I had. Women who saw my stable, loving marriage as boring because it lacked drama. Now I know better. Drama isn't passion, tests aren't love. And real security in a marriage doesn't come from seeing how far you can push someone before they break. It comes from never wanting to push them at all. My story is a warning to every wife who lets her friends whisper poison about her marriage. To every woman who thinks manipulation is the same as communication. To everyone who believes that love needs to be tested to be real. Some tests don't have the answers you expect. Some games have consequences you can't undo. And some friends, they're not friends at all. They're just miserable people looking for company. I learned that the hard way. On a Saturday morning in my garage, watching my husband pack his things because I'd convinced him I didn't want him. All for a test, all for drama, all for nothing. The price of that lesson? Nearly everything I held dear. But maybe that's what it takes sometimes. Maybe you have to almost lose something to understand its worth. Or maybe I'm just trying to find meaning in my own stupidity. Either way, the test is over. The friends I thought were real are gone. My marriage is scarred but healing. And I'm left with the knowledge that I'm capable of destroying my own happiness because someone else thought it would be entertaining. That's a test result I'll carry forever.